Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Daniel Winton, CEO of Operating in the Black. And thank you for attending today Spheres of Influence People You Need to Know. Our mission is to facilitate meaningful discussions with the people who shape industries and communities. Through engaging interviews and thought provoking content, we strive to provide our audience with actionable insights, expert advice, and valuable connections. Field of Influence seeks to be a trusted resource for individuals seeking to expand their knowledge, network, and opportunities on their journey for professional growth. And I have got a treat for you all today. Mr. Jimmy Jackson is here in attendance with us. This guy, when you get to hear his story, Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, some of the greats in our industry that he has had the opportunity to be around. So when it comes down to networking and understanding the value of human life, the value, because this business is all about people. Okay, make no mistake, it's not about product. That's just a side item. That's what you get to do for your joy. But business is about people. So you know what? Let's bring up Mr. Jackson here. Just get him on camera. Jimmy J, how you doing, sir?
Not bad, Daniel. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for coming on to our show today. We certainly count it a privilege to have you in the booth with us today to talk about some of the things that you've had the opportunity to experience. But before I start talking and asking some questions that I have of you, I'd like you just to take a few minutes just to introduce yourself to my friends, my family, and all my contacts, everyone on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. I am so honored to be with you today and fantastic. Let me explain. I want to give you a little back history on Jimmy Jackson before I get to the meat, I would say, of the situation of my story, which is very interesting. I was born in Shelby, Mississippi. I spent some time there as a kid, but I was raised in Cleveland, Ohio. That's my broadcasting career, my education, everything stems from Cleveland. I started out in radio broadcasting, even in high school. And I tell people all the time, that's how I morphed into motivational speaking, because I started out with working with the young people in high school and what have you. But the most important thing I tell people, and I was blessed, I was really blessed with it. I always knew what I wanted to do. And I
Okay.
always wanted to help people. And that's how I started in high school, because in high school, I'm going to take it back. I'm going to date myself because it was around the 70s. And people say, in the 70s, man, we dealing with 2000 now.
They had
Well,
cameras back then, Jimmy.
yeah,
They had
yeah,
cameras.
exactly. So I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed because, like I said, in high school, I was a big time disc jockey, getting
Right.
people in classes and what have you. I know working, I was a sports guy in football and basketball and what have you. And I was very, very, very blessed to start out. And at that time, they had the student loan and what have you to get into college. And I first
Okay.
started out to college. And my first time when I went into college, I had to go to Paul Quinn. Now, Paul Quinn is still in existence. It used to be in Waco, Texas, but now it's
Okay.
in Dallas, Texas. I just give you a little Texas story real quick, but I didn't like Texas at that time. Now, you can imagine in 1971, I did not like Texas. So I transferred back to Ohio, to University of Wilberforce University, and that's where most of
Okay.
my broadcast
Well,
career
well, let
went
me ask you a question on that, Jimmy. Is
over.
is that what started your journey into the field? What prompted you to leave your home and go all the way down to Texas?
Well, it started because I knew I had a background in education.
Okay.
I was doing radio in Cleveland, even in high school, the old
Now you
WABQ.
got okay. I was getting ready to say you're gonna have to explain that to us because nobody listens to the radio anymore. So what
Yeah, see, and see, this
radio?
one thing, Daniel, at this time, radio was king.
I
Radio was
know,
king.
I
AM,
know.
and especially AM, the young people probably say, AM, man, get out of here. You can't even reach no AM. But AM, the 50,000 watts and what have you, was really king
Right.
at that
Okay.
time. So I wanted to get into broadcasting. So I said, well, I want to go a little further. So I want to get a broadcast career and what have you. At that time, you go to school and get to act together. And
Okay.
I went
Okay.
off to radio in Texas. But
Okay.
I didn't like Texas, so I had to transfer back to Wilberforce. And I stayed in Texas only a year. And there's some
Okay.
interesting stories that happened to me in Texas at that time. I wasn't used to be there. Oh, it was crazy. But anyway, I transferred back to Wilberforce, and I also took my communication courses at Central State University. And
All
that's how I got
right.
into the broadcasting. I also worked at a local radio station in a place called Xenia, Ohio. Now, in
Okay.
1974, the Xenia might come, some people might recognize that name because there was a big tornado in Xenia in 1974. Luckily, I was at home in Cleveland at the time. But
Okay.
that's how my broadcast career started. So when I came back to Cleveland, I got into television.
All right.
And the one thing back in that time, you didn't have no problem with security. And how I got to
Okay.
know people, there's a street in Cleveland. Every city got a street by the name of Euclid. And
Okay.
all the broadcast station was located on Euclid, from downtown all the way out to 118th Street. Now,
Okay.
Euclid in Cleveland ran from west to east. There was a
All right.
saying you could take Euclid all the way to New York. So I used to walk every day when I got out of high school. Every day I used to walk down there to the broadcast station and talk to the guys. I got to meet those guys, and the same guys I met in high school. When I got out of college, I
Okay.
worked with those guys in television.
Wow.
Interesting.
Is
And
that how you overcame? Because because that was one of my questions, is that's not one of those things that, Black people got into in the
mhm,
70s. How
yeah.
how were you able to, is that how you were able to kind of get over the racial hurdle? How did that work?
Well, first of all, I always like people. I find
Okay.
people interesting, and the way
Okay.
to get things going. And at that time, a lot of interest in broadcasting, a lot of people of color. But as
Right.
one way of getting people attention, I always had to act for talking and communicating with people. And how
Okay.
better ways to do that is through the airways. And that's how I got involved in the radio and what have you, because you could reach more people and what have you. And that's how the
Okay.
motivation, and I got into motivation and stuff like that. But you'd be surprised that the people you can reach, even at that time, because like I say, back in that time, radio AM was king, and the
Right.
top 40 DJs, that guys like Frankie Crockett out of New York was one of the. Everybody just loved that guy, man. I'm gonna take two
Right.
steps to the side. I got music for you on my side. All that type of and the job they could talk, and they brought audience to you. Like
Right.
I had one guy
Right.
I used to follow, man, guy got by the name of King Holiday in Cleveland. He said, if you can't dig this, you got a hole in your soul. And so, and we had one guy, this guy was so popular, they gave him 15 minutes every day, high noon in Cleveland. And he did
Right.
a show called I feel the train is coming on. And he would walk through
Okay.
the atmosphere of the hoods of Cleveland, talk about the people. And he had a thing
Okay.
like, jail man, give me the keys, set my people free. This was a show they put on, but he had a great
Wow.
communication. And that stuck with me. I always wanted to get people interested and talk to people and get them involved, even at that time, and work with people, because there was so many people just like, if you weren't doing anything, to me, you had to be moving. You got
Right.
to be moving. You got to have a goal. And I tell some people, if you don't have a vision, if you got to have that mind control. Control your mind, control your life. If you don't control your life, someone else going to control your life, and you're going to be in trouble. So control
Absolutely.
your life. And that's what
So
got me really involved.
so on that vein, what advice would you give someone who's getting started in the broadcasting field? What advice would you give to them if they were getting started today?
I tell young people all the time. I just had a group of people I was talking to not the other day. Know what you want to do. This is number one. Know what you want to do. Go in a room by yourself and get a sheet of paper and draw a line straight down the middle. One side or left side, how can I make money? What kind of job I want? And the exact opposite on the other side, what do I like to do in life? And see the two match up if you can make money from that. Because if you do something you like to do, here's the kicker. You're never going to work another day in your life because you're doing something you like to do. I've been getting up every morning at 2 o'clock since I was 19 years of age. I still do it today because I'm doing things I like to do. And this is one way to get a hold of your life. Do something you like to do in life. This all because you got to have a vision in life. And number one, if you do something you like to do, you're going to work for almost nothing
Right.
because you're doing something you like to do. That's how to get started. Because first of all, you got to have a goal. If
Right.
you got to have a goal. If you don't have a goal, your life is like a rudder on a ship. If you don't have a rudder, you just out on the
It's just
ocean.
all
Just
over the place.
exactly. So that's why I tell people all the time. So you got to, because and especially in today's world, man,
Right.
if you don't have some type of idea of what you want to do in life, because time is passing. I always say,
Right.
Father Time does not make a round trip. See, you only this is it. If you don't
There
get
are
off
no
the
round trips.
no, if you're standing on the corner watching traffic pass by, it's gonna pass you by.
Right.
Unless you're gonna jump into traffic, get things moving, you're gonna be off and by yourself. Because whether you sit and do nothing or you get busy, one way or the other, time is still passing. So
Right.
you might as well get busy doing something because, like a lot of young people like to say, "Well, I got time. I'm young." No,
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 it
you're
just
gonna work.
it just
You gonna,
changes. I remember when I was 18 years old and somebody said they were 35. I was like, wow,
yeah,
you're ancient.
yeah,
What?
exactly. That's what they call me now, but I feel good,
Well, you have to be getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning every day.
man.
There is no
Every
way.
day, every day.
Every
I
day.
get up. I got something to read. I write, and
Okay.
I do the motivation and Instagram. And
All
every day
right.
I got motivation, some type of form of motivation on there, and I put a little music with it so people can digest it. I don't make it long anymore. I make it
Okay.
real short and right to the point. So you make you think a little bit and get it together because a lot of people and you know what, that Facebook and Instagram is all over the world.
Right.
I get letters and stuff from people even in Ghana. A young lady in
Really?
Ghana, yeah, a young lady in Ghana told me, man, this really made now this is a feeling you cannot find in a bottle. The young lady
Okay.
wrote me a letter from Ghana, and she said, whatever you do, please. She said, I look forward. She said, I can't get it every day, but I came across some of your motivation on Facebook and Instagram, and I save them because I can't get them every day, but you helped me. You made me think. Man, that make you feel 10 feet tall. And see what I do, I research a lot of stuff. I read a lot of stuff. I have a lot of
Right.
mentors and stuff. And I go back to the originator. The originator was a guy by the name of Napoleon Hill. I mean, this
Right.
guy, he wrote one book, and everybody into public speaking would know this book called
Napoleon
Think
Hill.
and Grow Rich.
Right.
And that one book made him a millionaire. Not only he was running after the money, but he just had so much knowledge about life and what have you. And his background, that I know when he passed away, his company was looking for a black author,
Right.
and by the name of a guy in Atlanta called Dennis. Oh my God! Oh, this guy is really good. He wrote Think and Grow Rich, the Black Side. But
Okay.
go ahead.
What's the name? What was the name of the author of that again?
I think it's Dennis Kill. Yeah, Dennis Kilbrook.
Dennis
He's out of
Gilbrook. Okay.
he's out of Atlanta, and he wrote Think and Grow Rich, the Black Side. And he was
Okay.
Napoleon Hill back in that time in the 20s and what have you. He wrote about the guys that came along like Wrigley, the chewing gum, and Ford, who made the first car, what have you, and those type of guys. He wrote about the history, and all those guys knew what they wanted to do too. It was a vision.
Okay.
You have a vision and you follow up on it. Number
Okay.
one. See, that's why I tell people all the time, if you sit down and meditate sometime about what you want to do, and don't get angry because another person got it, because we all got the same 24 hours in a day.
Right.
You can do it too, but you got to be disciplined. You got to discipline yourself. Like I said, you get up, you got to have a mission. Because if you get up and do nothing, you're just doing nothing. But get up and do something, you're going to make things happen.
Right.
and you can do it in life, and you have no excuse. Oh my God. I mean, you got the library in your hand, that phone. You can Google, you can study anything you want. So there's no excuse today at all.
Right. Well, speaking about that phone that's in your hand that you take pictures with, I want to hear about that little camera that you used to carry on your side when you were trying to get interviews with Michael Jordan, Desmond Tutu, Bis, and
You, you know something, that inside me grow with me every day, man. Interviewing people like I've been in the room with Desmond Tutu. I mean, he's a great
wow,
bishop in South
wow.
Africa. Oh my God, and the wisdom. You know, I never had a chance to really interview Nelson Mandela, but right after he was released from prison in 1990, he came to Detroit to speak in the Detroit Tiger Stadium. And
Okay,
man, let me tell you, the atmosphere. I was outside. We had colleagues inside during the show, but I was on the outside and I
okay,
heard everything. It was unbelievable. And the people, they filled Tiger Stadium at that time. They were just enamored with his words and what have you. And
okay,
I never forget during the press conference. I'm outside the room, but during the press conference, and one reporter asked him, I never forget this, Nelson Mandela. I wish I get that accent he had. He said, the reporter said, how could you stand it all those years, 27 years, you know you didn't do anything wrong? And Nelson Mandela was so cool, 27 years on that island just hitting rocks and what have you. Nelson Mandela stood up and said, I had faith. That's all I need. That blew me away, man.
that's all he said. I had faith,
I
and
had
that's
faith.
all I need.
That's all I need. Can you
Wow,
imagine? What a
wow.
man. Well, man, 27 years. And then he got out here and became president.
Right,
Uh,
right.
Unbelievable. So that when we was doing the interview and we was talking to people, people were crying just
Mm,
to be in his presence.
right.
One lady said, I got to touch him. I feel like I'm touching him or his garment.
Oh
She,
goodness.
she said, I didn't have nothing to say to him, actually, but I just wanted to touch him.
Okay.
Oh, it's just
Okay.
questions like that. And I
Well,
tell you,
well,
go ahead.
no, no. I was just going on to say is that is that how it was when you were around the whole Jordan thing? Is that how
Oh,
that worked?
it was unbelievable. But check this out. I got
Okay.
to do his last game. And let me
Michael
tell you,
Jordan's
so
last game.
Michael Jordan last game. And let me be
Okay.
honest, we all know those knees going to go sometime. I mean,
Right.
special tall guys. It's just, we had an interview with him at the last minute, and he gonna do an interview because Michael didn't
Okay.
like doing a lot of interviews, but for Nike and what have you, he had obligation for
Right.
television, the network and stuff. He had to speak to us, and it was crazy. Thank God for my height because at that time, I could extend the camera. I'm 6'2", and when I
Okay.
extend that camera, I'm about 7 feet high. And I told the young lady at that time, we didn't have what you call a wireless microphone that he got now. We always
Right.
had cable to the microphone. So I got
Oh
the
goodness.
longest cable. I had to give it to my reporter. And she kept
Okay.
looking at me. I said, no, you just get the mic in there. I'm going to get my picture. So it was like a
Okay.
zoo, man. We had over 100-some reporters trying to get an interview with him. He was sitting
Right.
down, and just imagine, and all these guys. And I held that camera. My camera at that time weighed about 40 pounds. It was one of
Okay.
these huge BB5 cameras, and I held that baby just steady,
Uh,
and I
what
got
that,
the
that when
interview.
you used to see those guys running down the street like this, right?
Exactly. And see, I don't feel bad with my knees right now because, man, that's all I did. I was
Right.
one of those guys. I very seldom have what you call a tripod. So I used to
Okay.
run with my camera all the time. I would never forget. You remember the lawyer, the famous lawyer, Heath Pad, Johnny Crocker?
Yeah.
Oh my God. He came to Cleveland one time. And that's when you used to be able to go all the way to the back to the gate. And he
Okay.
told the reporter, he said, if you keep up with me, I give you the interview. So I did about from that Concord C, I did 15 minutes walking backwards with that camera, and
Wow.
always what we call a 5x5, like you're looking at me now. He was right in that frame, baby. So he was a great guy, man. And people like that you'll never forget because that even the wording, the education you learn from people like that, it sticks
Right.
with you. And I interview people like the presidents and what have you. And I'll never forget. I think I told you this is one good story. I'll never forget. And I'm talking about George W. Bush, but I'm talking about Herbert, his father.
Oh my goodness!
I'm
So
really dating
the original Bush, huh?
you see, I'm really dating myself. Not people that his father, yeah, I'm talking to old man.
World War II veteran, ace
Yeah,
pilot.
exactly. He was a fantastic guy, man. I'm telling you, I have a lot to say about his son, but the old man was funny. He told stories. He just loved people. And I'll never forget, I was with this racing reporter, and he was giving me the blues. And
Okay.
my camera messed up on me. And I never forget, one of my engineers told me, when this happened, this is what you got to do. It was hot, and I had one of my old cameras, and the heads of the camera got wet, and I had to take the side door off and dry that head before I could do
Okay.
anything else. And it's messed up on me after the Secret Service that gave me the okay and everything. And we was arguing, and the guy said, "You got to get the cameras." And the old man, he looked over at me like, "Why are you having a problem?" "No problem." He said, "I'm the man." It reminded me of a story. So in order for me to get to fix my camera, he went on and told a story. Can you believe it?
Wow.
Here's the president.
President George Bush told a story to
Told a
give you
story
the opportunity to get your
to fix
camera
my
fixed.
camera. I just, hey, take it easy, Jay. Take the side door off. Take your time, because nothing comes to a frustrated mind but frustration.
Mm.
So take your time, cool it. Did
All
my
right.
thing, put it back in. I'm ready to go. Game okay. And President Bush said, "Look like he's ready." You know, they had to stop him from telling the story because he going, "Oh my God."
Well, Jimmy, hold on a second, because this thing is going to get away from me. I want you to take a few minutes and talk. You've talked about all these great and wonderful people. Um, Older Black men are a resource, and we don't get a chance to talk to you guys very often. I'm starting to get that. I'm starting to get that way myself.
Mhm.
But I want people I want you to talk about how to get a hold of you, talk about your motivational speaking for a couple of minutes, and then
Mhm.
I'm going to come back. But I want people to get a chance to know you and how to get a hold of you and what you're
Okay.
doing now.
Okay. What I'm doing now, every day, like I said before, on Facebook and Instagram, I put motivations out every day. Every day, and I've got some public speaking I'm doing. Matter of fact, I'm speaking coming up in November with the BNI group. It's a business group located in locally in Tampa, Florida here, and it's about networking with people. Where we almost just got through talking about getting to know people, their business, and what have you. And you can reach me through my DMs and Facebook and Instagram. And eventually, I'm gonna give Daniel the address. I will have a new YouTube channel coming up and a podcast show where I'll be talking about and interviewing different people in the field. And this is what I would like for people to know too, because I'm available for high school, colleges, and what have you, businesses, and a lot of businesses. I work with businesses. It's interesting because there was a in the sales department. I work with people in the sales department because, like, sometime in the business sales department, the sales are down. Now, I've been brought in, especially I was doing a lot of this when I was located. Right now, I'm in Tampa, but when I was in Cleveland, I was doing a lot of this. In Cleveland, I went to the businesses that had me working directly with the sales department, how to get their sales up and what have you, and what to do, why are they sales down, how to communicate with people, and how to, like, for example, I was talking to the people the other day. Some people really, in order to make the sale, you got to be the sale. Say, for example, let's use, for example, if you're selling a wash machine, and once that wash machine is the sold, you still the salesman. You still got to have that complete attitude. Like, and I'll tell you the reason why I'm saying this is because some people, once you sign on a dotted line, you'll notice that you have that personality right away. But once you sign on a dotted line, people like, oh, they don't have anything else to do with you. Now that's when you lose a lot of sales, truthfully, because people can tell if you genuine love and like people, you can make your sales. Why? Why you said it? Because you got to know how to communicate. Communication is number one. If you know how to communicate with people, the sky's the limit. Anything you want in life, you can have. But first of all, you got to know how to communicate. And I do that every day. And like some people say, well, he's arrogant. No, 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 no. No, not arrogant. You get arrogance. A lot of people get arrogance and confidence confused. No, that person that reach a point in their life where they're not arrogant, they confident. Okay? So you got to have the confidence that you can make it no matter what. And if you do this every day, I tell people, and when you reach me, you talk to me, I have a lot of one-on-one. I was, matter of fact, I was talking to some people about almost a year ago in St. Pete, and there was a lot of people. This one lady I had one-on-one, she was afraid to go to the store. Interesting. Why? Because she was afraid of people. And I was so proud of myself because I didn't know I had it in me. But just working with the faith, every day I used to go to this woman apartment. I said, now what am I going to do today? I got to get her outside. But I got to working with her, and I learned that she was afraid just the idea of people looking at her or doing the wrong thing. So I used my faith in order to deal with her too. What I did, I taught her, I said, first of all, let's go outside. And you see all this beautiful, beautiful, the areas of God creation, the flowers and what have you. Unbelievable. This is what nature is all about. Breathe the fresh air. So you know what? To make a long story short, after 2 or 3 months working with her one-on-one, the lady is able to go to Publix, the local grocery store here in Tampa, and buy her own grocery. Instead of having someone deliver her grocery, she go and buy her own grocery. Now that's a good feeling, knowing how to communicate and working with people all the time. See, that's one thing I love because when you like people, I'm telling you, man, hey, some people, it's hard. It's hard to get to some people, but you know what?
Right.
You can walk away. Some people, some folks you can't reach, so you just go on and
Right.
reach another person. That's all.
Okay.
That's what. Yeah.
Well, Jimmy, I didn't get any of my questions that I wanted to
But
ask.
Daniel, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. You're gonna come back.
Yeah,
You're gonna come back.
I talk too much, man.
No, you don't. You were perfect. You were perfect. That was
Oh,
so interesting. Everything you said was so interesting.
okay.
Um, but I need to go ahead and wrap this show up again. Mr. Jackson, we certainly appreciate you coming by to the show today. So, but please, will you come back and see us again?
Oh yes, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah.
Okay, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's all wave to Mr. Jackson. Thank you so much again, Jimmy. Wow, wow. When I had the opportunity to sit down and do a one-on-one with Mr. Jackson and just hear the stories, and it's not just Desmond Tutu and Michael Jordan, but a lot of things that had to do with making sure that our story in the African American community is told. He's done a lot of work there. So he is a tremendous resource. And that's why when you want to talk to somebody about being a motivational speaker, they have to have somewhere that they came from to motivate you. Because if you can imagine back in the 70s, the circumstances that he had to deal with and overcome to do the things to get around uh, Desmond Tutu, Nelson Mandela, Michael Jordan, that should be something that tells you, hey, I need to listen to him for just a few minutes. But again, please like, share, and send this out to other people that you know. This is, again, Spheres of Influence, people that you should know. We are so thankful and so appreciative of our audience and you stopping by and seeing us today. Please come back. Thank you so much. Bye for now.